Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are cracking open one of Europe's best kept geographical secrets. We're going to discuss a tiny mountain locked country that is, often driven through, often overlooked, but it holds this utterly unique trove of experiences you just can't replicate anywhere else. We are talking about Andorra, nestled high in the Pyrenees.
It really is the ultimate hidden kingdom. We're diving into this sovereign nation that's just crammed right between giants France and Spain. And for a country with a population of only, 82,000, covering a mere 468 square kilometers,
Yeah.
that's roughly the size of the city of Detroit, the sources show us a world just defined by extreme contrast.
And before we even get to the adventure, we have to talk about the facts that define this place. It's landlocked, it has no airport, no trains, but here's the detail that really gets me. It is the only country in the entire world where Catalan is the sole official language. That's not just a linguistic curiosity, right? It speaks to this deep, preserved cultural isolation.
Precisely. Yeah, if you add to that historical uniqueness, you get its governing structure. For centuries, it's existed as a co-principality. It's historically managed by two external leaders, the Bishop of Arel in Spain and the President of France.
Wow.
That highly unusual geopolitical insulation is, I think, the key to understanding why its culture and history have been so intensely preserved despite being so close to these massive modern powers.
Okay, that context is absolutely critical. So our mission today is to move past the simple facts and reveal the true depth of experience. We're talking those 10 things you can only do here. We're going to find out how this small nation lets you experience an entire country historically, geographically, and culturally in ways that are just impossible anywhere else.
And we should begin where Andorra begins. With its spectacular mountains, its size, it truly becomes its superpower when we look at geographical feats and altitude.
Absolutely. I mean, think about the concept of skiing an entire country. The sources highlight that you can actually do this thanks to the seamless integration of its resorts. You've got three major domains. Gran Valira, which is the largest in the Pyrenees with 210 kilometers of piste, Valnord Pal Arinsal, and then the high-altitude specialist Ordino Arcalis.
And the significant thing here is the logistical genius of it all. You buy one lift pass, just one, and you can spend your day traversing ridges and connecting lift systems that literally carry you across massive geographic divisions. You're gliding across these high-altitude open bowls, and you're getting 360-degree panoramic views right down into the neighboring Spanish and French valleys. It's a genuine cross-country journey,
Yeah.
not just a day at some big resort.
That spatial compression is unbelievable. But okay, if skiing is too quick for you, you have the option of doing the other great geographical feat, which might be even more mind-boggling, walking the country.
That would be the Gran Recorrigut del País, or the GRP. This is a 120-kilometer high-altitude hiking trail, and it's meticulously mapped out for a 7-day trek. And the trail's whole purpose is to literally circumnavigate the sovereign nation on foot.
A week to walk the entire perimeter of a country.
Exactly. And the sources point out this isn't just some pleasant valley walk. You're following historical paths. Paths that were once highly strategic smugglers' routes used for centuries to bypass customs and move goods between France and Spain. You pass abandoned iron mines, crystal clear glacial lakes, and you stay in these high mountain huts. By the time you finish the GRP, you have a physical, sort of visceral understanding of the entirety of Andorra's geography and its history.
That depth of comprehensive exploration is just not possible in any other European country. If you tried that in Germany, you'd be walking for months. Here, it's a dedicated annual vacation. And speaking of high achievement in a short time, you can also summit the country's highest peak before the end of the workday.
We're talking about Pic del Comapedrosa, which stands at 2,942 meters.
So nearly 10,000 feet. That sounds intimidating, but the sources assure us that if you start early enough from the village of Arinsal, it's a highly accessible, a straightforward day hike for experienced trekkers.
And the payoff is just enormous. At the summit, you're standing on the very roof of the country. And crucially, you are looking down upon the exact tri-point corner where Andorra, Spain, and France almost converge. On a clear day, those views stretch far beyond the Pyrenees. You might even get glimpses all the way out toward the Mediterranean. It perfectly illustrates how compact this place is. You can conquer its extreme high point and be back down in the capital having dinner.
The accessibility to that geographical extreme really drives home the unique proposition of Andorra. Okay, let's descend from those crisp high peaks and transition into segment 2. The astonishing contrast of commerce and calm you find on the valley floor.
This transition is where the cultural cognitive dissonance really hits you. You move from this timeless mountain isolation straight into a 21st century commercial hub.
Right. So how does a place steeped in medieval isolation, that survived thanks to mountain barriers and peculiar governance, how does it become a hub for modern luxury commerce?
Well, it comes down to its historic fiscal structure, specifically its status as a major duty-free zone. Andorra la Vella's main artery, Avinguda Meritxell, is world famous for its tax-free prices on high-end goods, perfume, electronics, fashion, and especially alcohol and tobacco. It's a massive economic driver.
But here's the surreal factor. This is the bizarre juxtaposition the sources keep emphasizing. You were doing this hyper-modern, often frantic luxury shopping, maybe buying the latest drone or a high-end watch, while you are absolutely surrounded by structures dating back centuries.
Right, think about standing on the main commercial street, cash in hand, and then looking up at the Casa de Laval. That's the Parliament building. It was built in 1580, and it still hosts government sessions today. You're
Stu.
literally purchasing a high-end whiskey next to a 500-year-old active seat of government that defines the country's unique legal status.
It must feel like stepping out of a time capsule straight into a massive but historically grounded outlet mall. Is there tension between that ancient governing structure, the 1580 building, and the demands of modern global commerce, especially with their tax status?
That tension is the lifeblood of Andorra. The governing structure, rooted in that co-principality status, has evolved to manage this delicate balance. They've successfully leveraged their isolation for commerce while still fiercely protecting their political independence and culture, which is symbolized by that 1580 parliament. It is a modern economy running right alongside a preserved medieval state.
And if that contrast isn't enough to induce whiplash, the country offers a completely futuristic counterpoint right next door,
Hmm.
in Escaldes and Gordony, the Chaldea Spa.
This facility looks like it landed from another planet. It's housed in this enormous futuristic glass pyramid. It's Europe's largest alpine spa, a complete break from the Romanesque stones and the rugged peaks.
Tell us about the specifics. What makes this a unique experience?
Well, the whole facility uses natural geothermal water, kept at a therapeutic 34 degrees Celsius. And the sources highlight the sheer variety and scale. It's not just one pool. You have interconnected indoor and outdoor lagoons, Indo-Roman baths, specialized areas. But the key detail is the rooftop jacuzzi. You can soak in the warm water while looking out at the snow-capped Pyrenean peaks towering over you. And it opened back in 1994, which is interesting. It shows Andorra was investing in this high-end thermal tourism decades ago, way ahead of the global wellness trend.
So you have a country where you can spend the morning hiking a smuggler's path, the afternoon shopping for tax-free luxury goods, and the evening soaking in a futuristic thermal glass pyramid. That phenomenal transition brings us perfectly to our next theme, deep history and culinary traditions.
This is where that geographic isolation we mentioned earlier really pays off.
Yeah.
Andorra becomes a genuine time capsule because it largely avoided the wars and modernization that swept through the rest of Europe.
That isolation allowed for incredible preservation, captured perfectly by what the sources call the Romanesque root.
Exactly. The density of preserved history here is unparalleled. Because of its mountain protection and political neutrality, Andorra just wasn't subject to the major conflicts that destroyed or modernized structures elsewhere. As a result, you can visit up to 45 Romanesque churches built between the 9th and 13th centuries in a single weekend.
45 perfectly preserved churches within a short driving radius. That's incredible. Can you give us some examples?
Sure. Consider San Juan de Casals, often highlighted for its beautiful wooden roof and apse, or San Martí de la Cortinada, which is known for its superb medieval frescoes. But the most unique might be Santa Coloma. It features a rare circular bell tower and contains these exceptional 12th century murals. The ability to immerse yourself so intensely in the architecture of the High Middle Ages, that distinct, simple, robust mountain Romanesque style, it's a profound historical privilege.
And after that historical immersion, you need to eat like you're living in a stone farmhouse,
Right.
which is precisely what the culinary tradition is built on. I love the concept of the boards.
The boards are essential to understanding Andorran culture. They're traditional, like 300-year-old stone and slate farmhouses. They were originally used for livestock or storing hay, and now they've been converted into restaurants. When you dine in a borda, like Trincheria or Border Robert, you're not just eating traditional food, you are sitting in a piece of living, working history.
And often the food is prepared the way it was centuries ago over an open fireplace.
Correct. The centerpiece of this mountain cuisine has to be escudella. It's the national stew and the ultimate fuel for life at high altitude. It's an intensely hearty winter soup stew featuring large pasta shells, chickpeas, various cuts of pork, often including trotters, blood sausage botifara, and cabbage.
It sounds like it could sustain you through a 6-month Pyrenean winter.
It's more than just a dish. It's a communal tradition. It's often served at local festivals and during the deepest part of winter. It's deeply tied to the self-sufficiency required by mountain life, maximizing every resource available.
And while the boards offer a taste of daily, grounded tradition, there's an extraordinary annual event that really transports you back through time, the Madonna of Knowledge pilgrimage.
This event, held every year on the last Saturday in May, is one of Europe's last great living medieval pilgrimages.
Yeah.
The cultural weight of this is just immense.
Describe the tradition for us. What happens?
Thousands of Andorrans participate. They walk significant distances, often by torchlight, up the mountain roads to the remote sanctuary of Knowledge, which sits at 1,535 meters. And they're carrying a precious, venerated object, a 12th century wooden statue of the Virgin.
Wow.
Imagine the sensory experience. The sound of footsteps, the quiet devotion, the flickering light of the torches against the massive dark mountainsides.
Carrying a 12th century relic by torchlight up a mountain path? That connection to the deep past is so powerful.
And it culminates in this massive community-wide celebration at dawn once they reach the sanctuary. There's folk dancing, local music, and the massive undertaking of cooking a giant paella to feed the whole crowd, capped off with fireworks as the sun rises. It perfectly merges profound religious and historical tradition with modern, boisterous community celebration.
That is a stunning, singular experience you can only find in a place where history has been so completely protected. Okay, moving on to our final segment. Let's talk about smugglers' trails and high-altitude comfort.
This segment explores how Andorra has successfully repurposed its illicit past for world-class modern adventure sports.
That history is intrinsically tied to its location, right? Andorra was a famous smuggler's paradise, moving everything from cheap tobacco into France to coffee into Spain, all through these high-altitude mule tracks.
Exactly. Geography dictated trade, legal or otherwise. But those old mule paths, which had to be durable, steep, and remote, are now world-class single-track mountain biking and cycling routes. This transition is so immediate and obvious when you hit the trails.
The Ruta del Ferro, the Iron Route, is one of those historical paths turned recreational marvel. And the trails around the Valnorderd Bike Park have hosted World Cup downhill events, which just shows the caliber of the terrain.
What's great is that you are riding the exact trails the contrabandistas used a century ago. You're just doing it on a carbon frame with hydraulic brakes. The history is built right into the topography of the sport. It's the ultimate historical speed run on two wheels.
And once you've spent the day challenging yourself on those historic routes, you can experience high mountain comfort in a way that just completely defies typical rugged alpine lodging.
Yes, the staffed high mountain refugios. If we compare this to the Alps or the Rockies, lodging at 2,500 meters is often a basic Spartan affair, maybe a bed and a freeze-dried meal.
But not in Andorra.
Not here. The sources highlight places like Refugi de Lila, one of the highest in the entire Pyrenees, or the Refugi de Coma Pedrosa. They offer amenities that are genuinely shocking for that altitude and isolation. We're talking hot showers, comfortable dorm beds, or private rooms. And a gourmet 3-course dinner with wine, all served up in a communal setting, often priced within the 50 to 70 euro per person range.
That level of comfort, accessibility, and quality deep in the wilderness is a total game changer for multi-day trekking. It allows a sophisticated traveler to embrace the extreme altitude without sacrificing basic needs.
It really seals the deal on Andorra being this truly unique, secret kingdom. It's kind of a parallel universe where the ruggedness of the Pyrenees is perfectly balanced with unexpected modern conveniences and deep cultural warmth.
So let's supersize what we've uncovered. This tiny nation allows you to achieve the impossible. You can ski across international watersheds, shop duty-free in the shadow of a 16th century parliament. You can explore 45 preserved Romanesque churches built before the year 1200 and hike its entire national border in a single week.
The duality of Andorra is its genius. It offers the high adrenaline adventure of its vertical geography, the profound quiet of its cultural isolation, and the warmth of the local Catalan population who still greets strangers with the traditional bon dia. It is a world you can explore end-to-end, historically and geographically, in one action-packed yet manageable vacation. It's a place where political history, geography, and modernity exist in this compact, simultaneous, and fascinating conflict.
And despite feeling like a hidden fantasy realm high above the world, the sources repeatedly confirm its absurd accessibility. A simple 2 to 3 hour bus ride from major European hubs like Barcelona or Toulouse, you can reach the roof of a country almost as easily as crossing town.
So given all these highly specific, unique opportunities, the deep powder skiing with international views, the Romanesque stones protected by centuries of isolation, the luxury high mountain refugios, or the ability to hike a week and literally circumnavigate a sovereign border, we have to ask you, the listener, what calls you most? Is it the powder, the Romanesque stones, or just the idea of walking around an entire country?